responsible for the dietary program in this department, and I'll talk about everything else we offer around here. Welcome to Glenda College. It's excited to be with chefs as a dietitian myself. So from our homepage, if you just put culinary, glendale.edu culinary/culinary there at the top, you land on our homepage, and here's what we offer. We have a culinary arts certificate. Do we have a pink handout here, or did we remove them? We have the hospitality and tourism management certificate, and we have the nutrition side of things, which I oversee. So what do we do with nutrition? We have a program called Dietetic Services Supervisor Certified Dietary Manager, and you have that in your handouts. This template has, where did it land? Okay. Has a description of the courses. So our students take cooking, fundamentals of cooking, culinary 111. Then they learn sanitation practices. Then they learn institutional purchasing. They learn management, and they take 2 nutrition classes. And then they go do an internship in healthcare. So this is a designed for healthcare certificate program, which leads to the student having the ability to oversee the operations of dietary in healthcare, so acute care and also skilled nursing facilities. Federal law says that if you have a healthcare facility that it has beds where people go and they either stay for the short-term acute care hospitals or long-term skilled nursing homes, rehab centers, federal law says wherever you don't have a full-time dietitian, you need to have a credentialed individual, a certified dietary manager. Now we offer a dual program, one that satisfies California requirements and one that satisfies the national requirements. They're pretty much the same coursework, except for the national one, you have to sit for the board exam. There's a board exam that goes along with that. So let me first describe what this manager does day in and day out. There we go. This works. There we go. What do they do? Where do they work? What skills they need? And what's our certificate program about? I briefly reviewed it on our website, and I'll review it again. What about their jobs, their salaries, and other rewards, and how they might sign up for a program? The Dietetic Service Supervisor, which is the California credential required by the California Department of Public Health. They have auditors who go to these nursing homes, and they check for the credentials of the person running food service operations in those facilities. So what do they do? Well, where do they work? I'm sorry. First, nursing homes, hospitals, retirement homes, possibly also in other settings such as childcare, prisons, mental units, etc. Any place where you have federal or state reimbursement for healthcare, and I'm talking about Medicare or Medicaid, which is Medi-Cal for California, expect to see the credential, the Dietetic Service Supervisor, to run the food service operations because it's a requirement. This is a brief overview of the responsibilities they have. They provide the meals, they make sure that the meals are provided on time, that the meals are safe to eat, that they're attractive, and that they are also nutritious. They look at the efficiency of the operation from all sides, from budgeting, controlling costs, purchasing with the right specifications. They have a communication role. They communicate with patients, families, also team members such as dietitians, nurses, possibly also physicians, and they have to follow the state and federal regulations. For example, patient rights. They need to understand what are the rights of the patients. Across the nation, nowadays, and this is since 2016, patients have the right to eat whatever they want, whenever they want, with whoever they want, wherever they want in the facility, in their room or outside in a dining room or even on a patio, how much they want. So their rights are very expanded as of 2016, and it is the role of the dietetic supervisor, service supervisor, to know what the rights are and to follow those rights. The skills. They need to be good cooks, and therefore our Culinary 111 class, so food production, quantity food production, which is a different ballgame than just cooking, as you know, for yourself at home. Sanitation, food safety, the nutrition component, they understand what is a protein, how many grams of protein patient needs a day, how to provide those grams of protein, what's a milligram of sodium, and that's exactly why we have the nutrition classes. They have a role in the management, so everything from writing job descriptions to hiring to staff training, and I'll go through this in detail in a few moments. Then of course they're also in charge of quality assurance. The culinary skills, they're in charge of the good presentation of the food. Food doesn't have to be unattractive. You know how hospital food reputation is. That concept is changing. Hospitals are hiring chefs and dietary managers who often are chefs themselves also. They start as chefs, then they take on the role of the manager, that have the ability to present food in the most attractive and beautiful way to keep the patients happy, because patient satisfaction is everything when it comes to the hospital rating. It's no longer just lumping food on a plate and sending it to the room. They need to follow the menu as set by the standards of the nutritional requirements and components. They're in charge of ordering, delivery, of course, receiving. Well, they're not doing all those things. They're making sure that their staff is well trained to carry out these functions properly, and of course, proper serving, portioning with the proper utensils. If the soup calls for a 6-ounce ladle, it has to be a 6-ounce ladle to provide the proper nutritional composition. And then the presentation on the tray, again, has to be very attractive, nicely plated. Nowadays, it's the center plate with the dimensions and the flow of food on the plate that we used to expect from high-end hotels or restaurants. Nowadays, it's happening in the hands of chefs and dietary managers in the hospital setting. What about training? Training for sanitation? They could be in charge of anywhere from 10 to 30 people working for them in the hospital setting. We have 400 beds hospital in this area, hospitals, multiple hospitals, within a 5-mile radius that all have 30 or more people working for them at any given time in the kitchen and dietary services. They all need to be trained properly, at least one in service a month, and the topics have to be dated and decided ahead of time. When the surveyor shows up, the managers have their trainings to show for. Everybody has to take a pre-test, post-test, sign off on their training so they can be held accountable for that. Of course, washing properly, keeping the food out of the danger zone. The nutrition component, which I briefly discussed, how to keep the meals adequate, well balanced, including all the food groups, the calories and portions should be in check, and they need to offer variety. It can't be for the vegetable component, the same iceberg lettuce 5 days a week. That's not going to be good nutrition planning. Then human resources. They're in charge of writing job descriptions, interviewing, hiring, orienting, motivating, which could be the most important aspect of leading the team, scheduling, and then performance evaluations to keep a team happy. Then you also have to keep your administrator happy with the business side of things, making sure your expenditures are in check with the needs and you're not over budgeting. Because several times or several months of over budgeting could lead to a bad report card for the manager, and they're not going to be very liked by the upper management. So all the aspects of budgeting represented here. Many dietary managers and supervisors are also in charge of auxiliary operations in a large facility, such as a hospital, and that includes cafeteria, special events, a doctor's dining room, where in addition to what they serve the patients, in the same kitchen, they also produce for catering. They have catering events non-stop. They may have 2 or 3 small cafeterias or booths where they serve coffee and pastry, etc. Which brings up facilities, the layout and design of the facilities. If there is need for expansion, that expansion is often done with the input of the leader of the dietary services. So this speaks to the multifaceted role of the dietary manager, or the certified dietary manager, I should say. And I'm going to explain the differences between just the supervisor and the manager in a minute. All this has to be done within the boundaries of the laws, the policies, compliance with the federal and state laws. In hospitals, depending on the size of the hospital, and I'm talking about acute care, the feds and the state will take turns in auditing. The frequency is anywhere from 12 to 18 months. Nursing homes get audited once a year by all of the above entities. Federal, state, often it's the same auditors. They're doing a dual job to see if the facility is following federal and state regulations. And then they have the health department from the county also coming in. So they're constantly getting ready for an audit. They never have time to breathe, so therefore they have their game together all the time. Happy patients say it all. Patients get in long-term facilities, long-term care facilities, get to do satisfaction surveys, and the auditors will also come and check for those surveys if they were done, the frequency, and how that speaks to the operation and its management. Here again is the outline of the courses which you had included. The job market is hot for this leader, for this management leader. They're much in demand. In California, the dietetic service supervisor has a starting salary with 1 year of college, because you realize these 2 semesters or 2 semesters could cover all these courses, 23 units, which could be split into 4 and 3 courses. They're making upwards of $20 to $25 an hour with 1 year of college, and depending on how long they've been at this, when they got their certification, which corporation they work for, that can go up to $28 to $30 an hour. If they decide to up their game, they can sit for that certified dietary manager exam, which really is just sitting for an exam after completing the coursework. Our program is approved by the organization which administers this exam. That is called the ANFP, the national entity. And therefore, as soon as they finish the coursework, they can take that exam and get the higher credential of CDM, which is portable to anywhere in the US. They can go to Kansas, they can go to Florida, and they will still be a CDM. And of course, they command a higher salary, they are entrusted with bigger responsibilities, bigger facilities, etc. There is a step up. If they decide to go the next step, they can transfer to a 4-year institution and continue their studies to become a registered dietitian. That's just an optional pathway. If they want to continue in nutrition, it's not for everyone. People decide to stop wherever they want. If they want a quick way to the job market, they just do the DSS certificate, complete the courses in 2 semesters. While they're doing the internship, which is the last class on the list, they're often recruited and hired at the internship site, because these nursing facilities are not standalone. It's rare that we see a facility any longer anymore. It used to be that they were independent, but now they're conglomerates of groups that have maybe 40 up to 80 facilities in the entire state or across the nation. So they find a good candidate and they offer a job right then and there. Students don't have to go looking for jobs after their internship. They're already hired. And really, there's a lot of steps up the ladder. They can, after being in a facility for, let's say, a couple of years, depending on the corporation, they may be entrusted with a territory. There's always room to move up. and they could be now in charge of 5 nursing homes instead of just the 1, or even take the entire Western United States. We've seen that happen, and it happens all the time. So it's increased responsibility, therefore increased pay. We have students who graduated less than 5 years ago with the coursework of 1 year, and they're making close to $80,000, which is rare for a 1-year college program. But of course, as we say, nobody gives you free lunch. If the pay is high, the responsibilities are commensurate. You have to love it. Well, we all love cooking, that's why we're here. But then the people skills have to be there, the communication skills. The candidate has to be tolerant, if I may say so, of the environment of healthcare. And not everyone is cut for it, therefore they get their feet wet when they go to the internship sites and see sick people who may not be that happy all the time, who may be whining, complaining about food, but really they're in pain, and we have to satisfy everybody. And with one menu, not everyone is satisfied all the time. The job is challenging, and you have to answer to the big boss about how much money you spend on food, monitor the FIFO process so you don't have spoilage, have to have emergency foods on hand, which is state law. And so it's challenging, but it's very rewarding, and not just financially, but with communications with people and the team. I'll take questions about the program, and then I'll also introduce what we have coming up in May, an event, a conference on this campus about the pathways. Any questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
So you said 1 year, but actually I think the semester begins the beginning of September, ends in December, then there's a month and a half off, then the semester begins in February and concludes in June. So isn't it actually much less than 1 year? It's closer to 8 months?
You're right.
Okay,
Yes.
8 months.
I was thinking 1 academic year.
Yeah.
But you're right, it's
So
2
it's 8
semesters.
months.
Yes.
So a student takes classes in 2 semesters, they get a dietary certificate, they've already done an internship, which is likely to lead to a job either at that spot or at a sister institution, and now they're making $25 an hour. Who's ready? Because that's where the money is, friends. It's not cooking for $12 an hour. You can't make it on $12 an hour unless you're living in your mom's garage or something. So this is a great option. We've had students that have been cooks for 10 years. They've been professional cooks working in a bunch of places. They're strong cooks, but they're never gonna make more than 12 or 14 bucks an hour. Here's an opportunity to make real money and to make a life for yourself, making 25 bucks an hour instead. Also, people who are in this position, they're not working every night and every holiday. They're working more of the day shift, which leads to a life instead of working when everybody else is playing. So it provides a lot of opportunities for people who want to get out of the drudgery of a la carte or hotel operations.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yes.
Any remarks or questions?
How old is this program?
Oh, from the 80s.
Yeah, from the 80s, older than me.
Yeah. What's recent is our association or our approval by the ANFP, which is the entity that takes you to the next step. The entity giving you the board exam. So if you go to ANFP online, the association of this is the National Organization of Dietary Managers, and they have a certification exam. Become a CDM. If you look at ANFP approved programs, this is across the nation. You can actually find our school, which last time I checked was only 1 of 4 in California of approved programs, which means that when a student finishes their certificate, they're eligible to take the exam. When they come from other California certificate programs such as this, and there are 13 community colleges in California that have similar programs that satisfy our state. So for all those other community colleges, except for us and 3 other ones in the state, they have to have work experience for 2 years, then they become eligible for the CDM exam. But ours is a shortcut.
Yeah, I'm kind of lazy and I don't like to leave my house too much. Is it possible to do this online? So in
But
the
we're
future,
working on putting some of these
Yeah.
classes online, it's in the plans.
those schools that claim to do online programs, can you teach cooking online? Not practically. I mean, so I dismiss those out of hand.
Yeah.
Uh,
So I was at the annual conference over the weekend for the ANFP California chapter, which happened in San Diego. And they announced that across the nation, they have 60 approved programs, 4 in California. So this is not very expanded in California yet. And the reason is that California has its own DSS credential, the Dietetic Service Supervisor. California schools, community colleges are looking, just like we did. We took the first step, and many of other schools are following. So I'm not gonna be surprised if I see more in the future. Right now, by state, California, traditional classroom programs, here we are, this is our program. And then we have still LA City College, Merritt, and Santa Rosa. Those 2 are in the north, and we're the only 2 in the south. That can lead to the Certified Dietary Manager exam. Corporations call us all the time, they email us looking for the CDM credential because it is really the higher credential than just finishing a program. Those students who take the next step and sit for that exam will command more responsibilities and more pay. So they're not starting at $20 an hour, they're starting at 28. And they're gonna be responsible for a larger facility. Plus, they have the freedom to move across the states and their credential will still be viable. So that's the ANFP. And here's our page again. I'm going to go to the Food and Nutrition Conference and Expo. This flyer, which I handed out, we have an upcoming conference, which is the first of its kind on this campus. Sign up is free. It is geared towards future students, prospective students from high schools, people who are on this campus as counselors, faculty, or undecided majors, people who are chefs and they're thinking about changing their game and going to the management side of things. You can participate, including lunch for free.
Free?
Yes. And the sessions are about how to become a CDM. Here is the first speaker, Cindy Zemko, who incidentally is the Director of Education of the ANFP. She's coming from Chicago to us to speak about what is a certified dietary manager, how do you become one, etc. Then we have our own faculty member, Dr. Mandy Nizami, who's going to talk about what's a registered dietitian, how do you become one. And then we have a motivational speaker just before lunch. And we will, let's go back to our conference. We will then have, right up here on this patio space right outside, tables for different food companies, corporations, nursing homes, possibly a neighboring hospital or 2, and 4 universities who have transfer programs to a bachelor's degree come to offer their services and products and inform the attendees about the pathways in food and nutrition. So that would be for people who are wondering, for people who want to interact directly with, for example, the Director of Education of the ANFP to come and attend, and you can just sign up here with first name, last name, and submit, and that's it. And we will have your information, send you parking passes, and you don't have to stay the whole day. You can just come to 2 sessions, or better yet, come at 12, stay for 1 lecture, eat free lunch, mingle with the industry at the expo, and call it a day. Even better than that, you might decide to become a sponsor if you have your own business as a chef, or you represent a corporation in food and nutrition. Then I think I also sent out, distributed the sponsorship form. There's a sponsorship application form, which is a white page. Brian has them. Can you send them around? Where did Brian go?
He's on the other side.
Okay. So with $250, and here's the become a sponsor form. What you're seeing is here. Why sponsor? sponsor, by donating $250, you would support our foundation, the college's foundation, which in turn supports our programs. And the sponsorship level is $250, anywhere from $250 to $499, and then $500 and up. The donation will go directly to the foundation, and then this is the form that you're looking at. So we would need company name, contact name, how you want to get your payment to us. It could be credit card online, glendale.edu/donate, and you'll get a table. It's a 6-foot long table, and you can display food samples, but you don't have to bring food. You know, pamphlets, flyers, informing the attendees about your products or services. And we'll have balloons for you too.
How many people do you think are going to come to this?
We're expecting anywhere from 100 to 200 is the forecast. Yeah, throughout the day. And lunch is free, and it's catered by a sponsor who will serve very nutritious and healthy rotisserie chicken with Mediterranean sides. So I strongly encourage you to attend, or any colleague or anyone you think might be interested in this to attend. It's an information day about career pathways in food and nutrition.
Where are you advertising?
Where are we advertising? That's a good question. So we're sending the flyers out physically to area restaurants, hotels, so hospitality, food, catering businesses, hospitals also, and nursing homes. Then the program has advisory partners. They're also about 60 different entities. They're also receiving this information both physically and by email.
So you're not going to any high schools or do you just?
Yes, I'm sorry. I left out GUSD, BUSD, PUSD, Pasadena, and La Cañada, and our counselors are reaching out to them as well. So some counselors in the consumer sciences and home economics at high school have already voiced interest in coming themselves or even bringing interested students by bus, high school students. If you have any connections, I'll be happy to talk with you about that, and maybe we can do some more outreach to get more sponsors, because the foundation will receive the funds and then we will use them for this program in the future to have another event like this, to host a speaker in the future, basically to continue educating our students and the community at large about career pathways in food and nutrition.
Can I ask, who knew about dietary before Mr. Donayan spoke? Okay, a handful, okay. Just because I think a lot of times the word isn't out. People don't know about the possibilities in dietary careers, and that's why I'm pretty excited about this, because I think it gets the word out for people to know that the careers in food service and dietary extend beyond restaurants, hotels, caterers, etc. There's another world out there that can be profitable, professional, and provide a good option.
And the demand is growing because our population is aging.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah. Well, we're all aging. You can't stop the clock. And we're gonna need more healthcare, and healthcare involves feeding the patient. And feeding is no longer just, again, like I said earlier, throwing food on the plate and just sending the tray out, but everything is well planned, designed. It has to be beautiful, the proper temperature, the proper portions.
The clients are more demanding. They've grown up with higher expectations.
And they know their rights.
They know their food, they know their rights, and they have higher expectations, and chefs can meet those. Well-trained chefs can meet those. So,
Thinking of marketing, I don't have a marketing background, but thinking of the younger generation and their focus on social media, have you guys ever thought about putting out a social media
It
post?
is, on the
Oh,
college's Facebook, Instagram,
Oh,
yeah,
great.
but through the college network, yeah.
What about through Facebook itself and target certain audiences, and you could do within a small radius around LA County?
Okay, do you have some targets in mind, like chef groups?
If you could identify what targets you think would be best, you could talk to Facebook, and then they could help formulate something and then send out posts.
Okay.
We can talk later.
Yeah, well, right now, since the Association of Nutrition and Food Service Professionals, the credentialing agency for the CDMs, Certified Dietary Managers, is providing the speaker, the first speaker, who's coming from Chicago. They're based in Chicago, the association. The CDMs who pass through our programs, they're our former students who sat for the exam, will all earn 4 hours of continuing education. Because anytime you have a credential that you earned with an exam, you're gonna have the mandate of putting in a number of hours for a number of years. So the CDMs all have 75 hours every 3 years to show for to the NFP so they can keep up with their credential, I should say. Dietitians have the same. Every 5 years, we have to put in a number of hours. So both of those professional groups will earn continuing education. Therefore, we're in contact with the Los Angeles Association of Dietitians. They're going to be a sponsor as well. They're going to have a table to recruit future dietitians. Conveniently, the universities with 4-year programs will be right next table, at the right next table, to show them the pathway to become a dietitian. Because registered dietitians right now have a 4-year bachelor pathway, bachelor plus 1 year of internship, and then a board exam to become a dietitian. Yeah. So those are the groups who will earn continuing hours for their credentials. But then the DSSs out there, the dietetic supervisors who came from this program or any of the other 12 community colleges in California with approved programs, to fulfill the state requirements, but they didn't take the exam for the higher credential, will also want to come and learn about how to become a CDM. So we are also targeting that group, the DSSs. Yes.
You know that in medical school now, they're requiring more students in medicine to be aware of nutrition. This is such an important area. And this is a great, great program. I think that you can contact some medical schools and let them know that they have this. And maybe some of these classes, some of their medical students could take. Because how can a doctor say, oh, you have to watch what you're eating? You know what I mean? They have to be aware of this wonderful education that you're getting.
Traditional medical schools had some nutrition, very little nutrition.
Well, now they want
as
to
a
teach them how to
freestanding
cook.
course. Yeah.
They want to teach them
Now
how to
it's
cook.
different, yes. Now nutrition is incorporated piece by piece into each discipline.